All right, everybody, we are back to the Most Valuable Podcast. My name is Mark Williams with my colleague
Victor Castro.
And we are just two dudes that do real estate for a living and going to talk about things that affect you as a buyer from the inside, the inside track of real estate, right? So today we have a great topic. It's something that we talk about a lot to potential buyers and to you. So our topic today, and we're going to jump into it, our topic today is the reason why you will never buy a home.
The reasons why you will never buy a home.
Yeah, because we're talking to you. You're not going to buy a home. I'm telling you, you're not going to buy a home. You might change your mind after we talk about these topics today. The whole point of this, guys, is we want to shift our content on this podcast to kind of give you what we talk to people just like you when it comes time to buying that first home or selling that first home or trying to get into real estate. We have been together. We have almost 13 years of real estate experience. We have helped over 100 plus families get keys to their first homes and sell their first homes to buy their second homes. So we want to be able to get all that data, all that information, all those scenarios that we've helped out over the years and kind of tell you about it because you're going to relate to somebody and hopefully it will resonate with you. And then, you give us a call and we'll get you into that home, right? So let's get into it, Victor. Let's talk about reason number one of why you on camera, other side of the camera, will not buy a home. Reason number one, you are scared. Why don't you talk about that a little bit, Victor?
There could be many reasons why you're scared. Could be the economy. It could be you think you're going to make a bad purchase and the home is going to go, down south and it's like you're going to lose all your money. You think you're not going to be able to make your payment. There's so many things that could be the reason why you're scared and you're not willing to commit to buying. And we've been through it all, Mark. Like we've been through every scenario possible that there possibly is at this point of our career. And it's a typical thing and it's okay to be scared,
100%.
When you're buying a home, you have to be committed, obviously. And everything could go wrong. However, if it's a calculated move, a calculated purchase, most likely you're going to be just fine.
So when we're talking scared, what you hit on a lot of good points right there. So let's kind of maybe dive into it a little bit deeper, and we'll dive into some of the key points we hear that why people are scared, why you are scared. And one of them you said was not being able to make the payment. Okay. If you don't own a home and you're a renter right now, are you scared that you won't be able to make your rental payment? It's the same thing, right? So something to kind of think about when you're thinking about this fear of payment, there's something called a pre-approval process to get the loan. Things have changed over the last 15 to 20 years in home financing, and it's no longer just guessing like what you make. See, I think people associate home ownership with the second biggest purchase they ever do, which is a vehicle. Vehicle financing is terrible because they don't check anything. As long as you have a pulse and a credit score, they will find a way to get you that vehicle. Home purchasing does not work that way.
Yeah.
You do need a pulse and you need a credit score, but there's a lot more you need to show. I always joke with people like, you're going to need to tell them your blood type and like all sorts of stuff. But that payment is verified not only by the lender has like an underwriter, and the underwriter has someone that even looks at their documents before they even approve you to get the loan.
It's triple, quadruple checked.
Yes.
Before it's official.
And they go based on a certain percentage of what you make, right? So this lender, that this is all they do for a living is lend out money, is comfortable giving you a set amount per month to pay them back. You don't think that they want to make sure that you can pay them back? Now, look, life happens. Like, there's unexpected things that happen in our lives that may put a strain on you making those payments. It's rare. And knock on wood, we hope it never happens to you, right? It's a small percentage, okay? So this lender that's writing you a check for $500,000, $1 million, is comfortable giving you this money because they are extremely comfortable knowing you can make this payment.
Absolutely.
So let them be scared, right? You shouldn't be scared because you did everything you're supposed to do as far as your credit, as far as the jobs you have, the security you have,
The
in your
money that you
savings.
have, everything.
Like, based on the stuff you've already done, they're comfortable giving you this money and knowing that you can make this payment.
That is correct.
So that's hopefully helps you in your fear of being scared that you're not going to be able to make the payment.
Right.
Would you agree, Victor?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And that's not the only thing that you might be scared of, right? You might be scared of maybe something breaking down. You know, when you're a homeowner, the responsibility falls on your shoulders if anything breaks down.
Yeah, you're your own landlord.
You are the landlord now. So water heater goes out, you got to call a plumber. The roof has a leak, you got to call a roofer.
Yep.
So dive a little bit into that, Mark. What do you think about being a landlord, and how do you protect yourself if you're going to make a purchase?
Yeah, and that is a big thing because me and Victor are big on relationship building. Our clients still reach out to us. Right now it's tax season, and every client is sending us the copy of their tax bill.
Yeah.
Like, do we need to pay it? Do we need to pay it? So first thing is finding someone that's going to be with you for the life of your ownership of that home, or as long as they can be, is super important. And that's, we talked about that in another podcast. And I think you just made a video on it. It's someone that's a realtor and someone that has a real estate license.
Yes.
Right? Someone that does it on the side hustle, or someone like me and Victor that are two dudes that do real estate for a living, giving you the inside track. Right?
Yeah.
So I just had to plug ourselves there for a minute. But yeah, something breaks. What do? Guess what? There's things out there. This is America. Companies have figured out how to make money off of everything.
Yeah.
And they figured out how to make money off of you, those that aren't too handy and are now new homeowners. It's something called a home warranty.
Yes.
So it's essentially a small insurance policy to help offset some of those unexpected costs. Now, it's not free, right? And it can, depending on the home, you can get policies as low as $500 up to $1,200 if you have a pool, if you have solar, stuff like that. And essentially what happens is this company is there. If something breaks, you give them a call. It's free to call them. And if it's something that's under your coverage, they'll send out a technician for a flat fee, $80 to $100, to come check that out. And that covers them fixing it and up to a certain percentage of replacement. And you can buy that home warranty for year one, and you can keep extending it for as many years as you own the home. And if it's a newer construction, most new constructions, most builders give you like a full warranty for a year, and then they give you a limited warranty. And I'll use myself as an example. We're having an issue with one of these big windows we have. The seal broke on the window. And although the builder does not warranty, the windows have a lifetime warranty. And the builder has helped me get the warranty information to submit a claim to the manufacturer. So there's coverage for stuff, right? Depending on new home, old home. So again, something not to be too scared of, because if you're not handy,
you can always resort to this plan, which is going to protect you maybe for a year or two, depending on how long the plan is going to be for.
What's cool though about home ownership, it's yours. And there's something in this world called YouTube, and everyone has been in a situation. Everyone has been in the same situation as you if something came up on the home. And if you want to become handy, there's so much information at your fingertips nowadays that you can just go and try it out.
Yeah.
And hey, if you're not comfortable doing it, then call somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe you have some savings or extra savings even after you made your purchase, and it's going to be your protection is also, right? If you need to hire a handyman or a contractor to fix anything, you have that money available, for these occasions.
And one thing too, depending on this is definitely market specific, right? Because sometimes we try to help you buy the home not blindly.
Yes.
Meaning you have some sense of the condition of the home.
Yes.
In a buyer's market, which we'll get into in a future podcast, you have the right to do inspections before you even move forward with purchasing the home. Once you're in contract, you can get professionals out there to check the home, right? Check home inspection, pest inspection, roof inspection, sewer lateral inspection. You get an electrician out there if you want. You can get whoever you want out there who you trust to go check out what you're most scared of before you even move forward with purchasing the home. So there's so much you can do before the home becomes a quote unquote burden for you.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I just had inspections done on a property, for example, and my clients, had some questions on a couple of things that came up, but nothing over, out of this world that they couldn't, move forward with. And, shoot, you can even check the soil. I've had some clients that were, hey, what if the soil what if the soil is contaminated? Which is crazy. If you have a pool, you can do a pool inspection.
Yeah.
You can do any type of inspection on the home. It's pretty insane how much you can do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, you're not going into blindly. And to end the scaredness, yes, stuff does break. Yes, stuff is going to cost you money. There's going to be some unexpected costs. But just keep in mind, every time you fix something on the home, you're adding value to that home. Because let's just say the water heater went out. Well, guess what? Now your home has a new water heater, which is more valuable than an old water heater. Meaning, if you were to sell and the water heater is newer, it's going to be more enticing for the next buyer.
Oh, I just replaced it a year ago. Oh,
that's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah. Because now the new buyer is like, okay, I have 10 to 15 years to use this water heater.
Yes.
Right? So think about that. It's money spent. Yes, it's out of your account, but you're adding it to your new savings account, which is your home.
Yes.
Cool. So let's talk about the next topic. I think that was a lot of good information for everybody. And what we got written down here. You will never buy a home because you listen to your friends and family too much. Stop listening to them.
Every uncle is, becomes a expert at the time that you're buying a home. They're all of a sudden a contractor or a real estate agent.
Or your dad or someone's dad.
Yeah. It's just, you got to be careful. Look, we understand you love your family members and your friends. They probably mean well for you. But at the end of the day, you're the one making the decision of buying a home, not them. You're the one that's going to make the deposit, right, on your home and the payments on your home. So their advice is probably welcomed, but you have the experts to help you with this, which is me and Mark, right, in our team. So you want to be very, very careful on whose advice you're going to take seriously.
Let's use a good analogy.
Yeah.
If you come from the Hispanic background, right?
Yes.
When you get a cold, what's the remedy? Drink some Sprite. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has a homemade remedy, right?
Everyone has their home remedy.
But if you really wanted to know what really was wrong with you,
you go to a doctor.
You go to a doctor,
right?
Right. So it's just one of those things. Everyone has people. We appreciate those older than us. If it's family members, those that maybe they're already homeowners, they've been homeowners. But you gotta remember, yes, they fixed it. That was their ways. That was their experience. And like Victor said, we welcome those experiences. But there's those out there that do this for a living that are more up to date on stuff that are, day in and day out to advise you.
Yes.
Right? So, and to put things in perspective, so it's about to be 2025. So let's just say you're listening to this and you're mine and Victor's typical client. So you're from the ages of 25 to 45.
Yeah.
Right? So your parents have probably been homeowners for 20 years. So they bought homes in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe even during the crash, right? 2008, 2012, right? Lending was completely different then. Interest rates were completely different then. The economy was completely different then. So although their knowledge of how things work is not incorrect, it was correct for when they purchased a home. It's totally different now. And things change every year. Things change, right? Like regulations change. There's a big regulation that changed in January that prevented some people from buying a home based on like what income can be used. Loans are changing. The strength of the dollar changes. So again, we're not saying they're wrong and their experience may have some value, but what we're saying is their experience is different because it's a different time. Like things are going to be different.
Yes.
So let the experts advise you. And if they want to be a part of that conversation and learn as well, we're more than welcome to have them join that conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's next on the list?
What's next? You are not going to buy a home because you think you're an investor because you watched the TikTok video. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, Victor?
I mean, you touched on TikTok, right? There's all these people talking about their experience, their opinion. And sometimes it's just that. Their experience and their opinion. It doesn't mean it's true. You have to be very careful. You have to, just because I said it, it might not mean it's true, you know?
I sent you that one. I remember I sent you that one recently, and the guy was talking about, you don't have to pay your debts if you're delinquent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This dude was on straight social media with a group of people acting like he was super smart. Like, once your debt goes to collection,
you don't even have to pay it.
You don't even got to pay it.
Yeah.
Right? And he was like, the reason you don't have to pay it is because it's already been paid. Because the debt collector bought it off the people you owed the money to. And then he was like, and then when you call them, if they don't have the exact amount, you could tell them that it has to be exact in order to be reported on your credit score. I was watching that, like closing my eyes, bro. Like, oh my gosh, this is so incorrect.
Yes.
No. Once your debt is bought, correct. The person you owe no longer wants the money, but now that debt is a tangible item. That debt has, in the eyes of the law, that debt is something. It's tangible, right? Now that person owns that debt. They have every right to go after that debt. Every penny of it. Just because they bought it for less doesn't mean they don't have the right to get it for exactly what they bought it for, plus whatever interest they want to charge. And guess what? Your credit score is going to take a beating, and it's going to prevent you from doing things you need to do. But yeah. I'm sorry to interject, but man, that's what I'm saying. You're not an investor.
Right. Yeah, no. You got to be very careful. And just do your research. If you want to question me on something that I said, just because I said it on social media, please do so.
Yep.
That's what me, Mark, advise our clients. Like, we want to make sure that they feel completely comfortable with what we're advising and saying. So,
and what we mean by an investor, so that was kind of getting, I know we kind of went on a tangent. It's okay, podcast life. Yeah. Right? We went on a tangent about these people online saying stuff. And now there are people online, for every person that's giving you bad information, there's 10 people that are giving you good information.
Yeah.
It's up to you, like Victor said, to make sure that information is validated, right? But when we're talking about investors, so home buyers think they're buying a home for investing, and they are sometimes. First-time home buyers, you are not buying an investment property. You are buying a home because you find value in owning the roof over your head. Plain and simple. You find value in securing a property for you and your family or your future family. You find value in having a set payment for the next 30 years.
Amen.
Okay, exactly. Now, a benefit of home ownership based on historical data is that homes appreciate in value.
Yeah.
So a benefit of buying a home is that it is a long-term investment. It could be even a short-term investment. That's just a benefit, but that's not the reason why you are buying a home as a first-time home buyer. Is not because, I want to start investing in property. Now, that first home can help you with future investments, and it can even become an investment property. But that's not the reason why you're buying. And when you stop thinking about it as like that, you'll start getting a little bit more comfortable of what the real reason is of why you contacted us to buy a home is because you're tired of renting. You're ready to build security for your family.
It's like building blocks. You need your foundation, and your first home is your foundation moving forward. Whether you want to buy other homes and become an investor, or maybe you just want to upgrade your lifestyle and go from your first home to your second home because it's bigger and offers more for you and your family, or maybe you want to downgrade because now you don't need a bigger home, whatever the case may be, but you need that first home as a foundation to do whatever you're going to do moving forward.
And don't get us wrong. We will give you like data of that neighborhood saying, hey, this neighborhood has increased in value X percentage over the last couple years. So we can kind of explain to you a little bit about the investment side. Like, yes, this home, the price you're buying this home at, if everything stays true based on historical data, it's going to be worth X amount more potentially in X amount of years.
Yes.
So yes, you are making, like I said, a side effect to home ownership is more than likely you're going to be making a good investment. And we want you to make a good investment. So if you're going to overpay for a home, and sometimes you have to get into a certain neighborhood, we would say, hey, as of now, you're overpaying for this home. It's going to take, based on that, it may take X amount of years for you to break even.
Right.
So just be aware of that. But this is stuff that ultimately shouldn't be the deciding factor if you want to buy this home or not. It's if you love this home and you see your family growing there, then that's the home you should buy.
Right, exactly.
Okay, cool. The next reason why you are not going to buy a home is because you're too materialistic. Are you wearing, look at your belt right now. Is it Gucci? What type of shoes are you wearing? That car you're driving, how much is that car payment? Did you need the $1,200 a month Hellcat? Or could you just got the Scat Pack for, $600? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, materialistic. Dive a little bit deeper, Victor.
I mean, look, to each their own. We're not telling anyone what to do with their money, okay? If it's going to make you happy, so be it.
YOLO.
Right?
YOLO, Victor.
But at the end of the day, if you want to set yourself up for, like you mentioned earlier, security and financial stability, then a home is a good it's something good to invest in and to buy for that purpose.
Yeah.
And so I kind of lost my
Yeah, no, I get what you're getting at. So you're like, look, what I like to tell my clients, and I tell my clients this all the time, because look, I've been there. I bought my first home in my 30s. I was materialistic, right? I'm the type of materialistic where I don't really spend money on clothes. If I like something, I'll buy it, right? If I want a nice car, I'll save up and buy that car. Like, if I want something, I'll spend money on it, is what I'm trying to get at. I don't always spend money, but when it's time for me to get myself something, I don't go cheap.
Yeah.
I splurge,
right?
So I did 20s. There was one point I had 3 cars. I was renting, whatever. I made good money, didn't really have any debt, but all that stuff's depreciating assets. It's not worth stuff. Yeah, dude, I used to collect Jordans. I have a closet full of Jordans. Does some go up in value? Yeah. Am I ever going to sell them? Probably not. There's not going to be enough money to retire on, Okay, I paid $200. Maybe they're worth $800 now. oh, you know what I'm saying? Like in the grand scheme of things, right? Unless you're doing this as like your business, right? And then yeah, that's good because it's creating you income. But what we're getting at is having that security of home ownership, knowing what it costs to live every month, knowing that no one's going to evict you from your own home, right? Knowing that you need to budget X amount for, just in case something breaks, allows you to make better financial decisions moving forward in life. Since becoming a homeowner, my credit score has always been 800 and above, right? My wife just got a car and they just changed, like the credit scores are different now, right? I think this dealership did Experian. Top scorer is 900. She was 875. And we own 2 homes. You know what I'm saying? Like we have debt, but people think, oh, I don't have debt, so my score is good. No, you have to own stuff to get a good credit score. But what I'm getting at is our thing has substantially grown because we know every month how much it costs us to live.
Right.
So we know how much we get to spend, right? It just helps us budget so much better.
Right. And look, to your point, there's people that prefer to rent because it's cheaper to rent. And so that allows you to maybe, for example, let's say you're making $10,000 a month. I don't know. And it costs you $2,000 to rent, but it's going to cost you $4,000 to $5,000 to own a home and pay your mortgage. Well, you're thinking about it twice because if you're a materialistic person, you now have $3,000 less to have to be able to splurge on yourself, like you just mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't go on vacations anymore. You can't buy that Louis Vuitton purse. You can't go out to fancy dinners anymore. And so what is your priority?
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
I lived that lifestyle for a long time.
Right. But what is your priority?
Yes.
If your priority is that, then that's completely fine. But if your priority is to get into a home to be financial stable moving forward, then you know what to do.
Yeah. And actually, I think I just released a video on my IG. Nationwide, rents are actually higher than mortgages right now.
Oh, wow.
So, nationwide, yes, here in the Bay Area, some areas the rent is probably going to be cheaper than buying in that neighborhood. But just food for thought, the rental curve, type in, if you're watching this and you want to fact check us, go on Google and type in rental curve, appreciation curve. It goes like this on the graph.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see a couple dips, but it's always going up. Then do the same graph for mortgage payment, like appreciation. And you'll see it goes like this. It's more of a wave, up and down, up and down, up and down. Sometimes it stays down for a long time. When interest rates were super low, it was staying down, meaning it was cheaper for X amount of years to pay a mortgage than it was to rent. But the rental curve always goes up. And that's why you're hearing things in the news. Think about what you're hearing in the news. Rent control. You ever hear anything say mortgage control? No, there's rent control because they know that if it costs more to mortgage a home payment and it costs more for an investor to leverage their assets, which is taking an equity or something from their mortgage that you rent, they're going to pass that expense onto the renter, which means they're going to raise your rent. And they're going to raise it substantially.
Now you're paying for their mortgage.
Exactly. So think about what you're hearing. Like, there's a reason. And there's a reason why corporations are buying all the homes, because they want to make you a renter and they want to keep you in the cycle. Because
and they want you working.
You fund their accounts. You pay their pockets.
And they want you working for them.
You want them working for them. They want your money working for them. Remember, your money should be working for you. All right.
Yeah.
We talk a whole podcast on that. Maybe that'll be the next one. All right. The next reason why you will not buy a home is because you were taught to keep a savings account. Why don't you talk about that, Victor?
Okay. So you have to understand, if you're making a home purchase, your home is essentially your bank. That is how you have to look at it. You're not losing your money. You're moving your money from a bank account, where it's actually losing money,
Yeah.
and you're putting it into an appreciating asset, which is a home, which over time, whether it's in a short period or long period, is going to increase in value. Where would you rather have it? Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. And exactly. So your home now becomes your savings. And the point we're making here is, they don't really teach financial literacy in school.
Not at all.
Everything you learn from your parents. I remember my mom having a checkbook and like writing checks, being a baby of the 80s and early 90s, like, we didn't have the tap to pay and all this stuff, right? So everything was like checks, right? Checkbook, balance your checkbook, working in the bank, like people balancing their statements, right? This and that. So you were always taught you should keep some type of reserve. And you should always have like an emergency fund, whether it's 3 months of living expenses, 6 months, whatever you can do, you should have. What we're saying is a lot of people we talk to get pre-approved for a home, okay? And when you buy a home, you have to put a down payment down. It can be as little as 3% up, depending on what you qualify for. And one of the hurdles that people have fear of is they get approved to buy this home. Let's just say they get approved to buy this $600,000 home, and they're putting 5% down, and it's like, oh wait, I got to come out of pocket $30,000 plus there's another 3% closing costs, so $48,000 I got to come out of. I only have $70,000 in my savings. I'm gonna be broke after I empty this account.
Right.
And that's what we're getting at. You were taught that you're gonna feel broke because you're looking at a savings account and it no longer says 70,000, right? Now it only says 22,000. But that's the wrong way to look at it.
Completely wrong.
That 70,000, so do me a favor if you're watching this podcast or you're listening to this podcast, pull up your bank app, click on savings, and then click on year-to-date interest. Are we there? So I'll let you log in. You gotta take your glasses off so the face can recognize you on your phone. Click on your savings, and then there should be like account summary tab. And it will say year-to-date interest. Let me know what that says. Leave it in the comments. Let me know what that says. It probably says like 5 cents. Year-to-date. Maybe you have a high-yield savings. You may have like $15 in there year-to-date. That's what your $70,000 is doing for you. Now, think about it this way. You took that 48,000 of that 70. So now you only have 22 grand in there. Still going to get a little bit of interest. Now that 48 grand, you're thinking, oh, it's gone. I don't see it on my app. I don't see it on my statement. Well, guess what? It's deducted from the balance of your home, of what your home was worth when it was appraised. It's there. It's just the difference in the balance, right? In the Bay Area, a bad year, homes appreciate 6%. So that means you're making 6% on that 48K. Year to date, homes have appreciated 15%, which means you would have made 15% on that money, on that difference in your balance. That's why when you become a homeowner and now homes sell in your neighborhood, you don't want to be opposed to homes selling for way more than what you paid for it. You want those homes to sell for more because now your initial investment is now worth that difference.
I always get into arguments with people in my neighborhood who say, oh, that's too much for that home. For example, I had this neighbor that wanted to buy a house for her dad. And there was a house down the street. We live on the same street that was on the market for, if I'm not mistaken, $600,000. Well, it sat there forever and was going down in price. And she wanted to buy it for even cheaper. I'm like, if you buy that house for cheaper, what do you think is going to happen to your house on that same street? And she said, I didn't think about it that way. I didn't realize my own house is going to go down in price if I buy that house for cheaper. That's exactly what happens. People need to realize and stop asking for something that they don't even realize, what could happen.
Look, if you're a homeowner, yeah, maybe you bought in that neighborhood and it was half the cost. And it is crazy to think about how much more it would cost. Odds are you probably wouldn't be able to afford to be in that neighborhood. I know my neighborhood, it'd be more at the top of my budget now, right, than when I bought it. And I probably would think, would I still buy in that neighborhood? Probably, because I love my neighborhood, but it's expensive. It's way more than what I paid for, but guess what? Good. Because that means one of the side effects was it was a good investment. It was unintentional. There was some thought process behind purchasing in this neighborhood. We saw the potential of the growth of the neighborhood, right? But one of the benefits of homeownership is it's an investment. So now I've made money on that initial 120 grand that I put down is now worth another 300,000. Every day goes up in value. Now it can fluctuate a little bit depending on the market, but for the most part, if I sold today, I'm getting all my money back
and more.
All the money I paid towards the principal plus another 300 grand in 7 years. What savings account is going to turn my 120,000 in 7 years into 420,000?
Or which rental?
Point me to that bank.
Yeah.
Because I got another 120 grand to deposit.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe an investment, maybe a very aggressive investment if you have like a financial advisor, but then there's also the big risk of loss as well. You know, higher risk, higher reward. But all right, last one. You are not going to buy a home. Sorry about that. You are not going to buy a home because you are unrealistic. What do you mean by that, Victor?
You want more than you can afford. Sometimes whatever you can get is a little less than what you were hoping for. Maybe the home is in not as good of a shape. Maybe it needs a little bit of work. It's a little uglier than you would want. But you're unwilling to make the purchase because of that. Sacrifice. Everything is sacrifice.
Maybe you don't want to commute.
Maybe you don't want to commute.
That's one of the biggest pushbacks I get. It's kind of one of the pushbacks I had now that I live in Contra Costa County, coming from San Francisco County and San Mateo County, was, man, I don't want to have to commute to work. Well, guess what? I don't commute to work. I figured it out and I switched careers. But when I first moved, I didn't switch careers. I just switched where I worked to close by. Problem solved. You know, I always tell people, the job you're in now, those jobs exist everywhere in the world, everywhere in the country. Every city has a hospital, a dental office, a government agency, a mall, a restaurant. Whatever you do, like, there's that job in your area. Now, you may have to sacrifice initially and commute for a little bit, maybe a year or two. And guess what? Wake up earlier. It is what it is. Guess what? Maybe splurge a little bit and get a nicer car. Now you can splurge a little bit because you know how much it's going to cost you monthly because you're a homeowner.
Right.
Now you're driving the Benz, the S-Class. You upgrade from the E-Class to the S-Class, right? But hey, you know, you can spoil yourself, but it makes your commute. It makes making that other sacrifice that much more enjoyable.
Yep.
I don't know. That's how I think about it when I think unrealistic. I think we're all unrealistic in some way, shape, or form. And that's good. You should have high expectations of what you want, what you feel you deserve. And one of the rewards I get is like people, when they do kind of look past, when they realize that maybe their expectation as of now, it could be an expectation, a goal. They turn that expectation into a goal. I think that's the way to look at it. You have this expectation. Maybe right now you can't make it, but you make that a goal to get there. And in order to get to that goal, maybe you have to start off here. And if you think that way, you get to that goal quicker, and it's that much more rewarding.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Like steps. And
steps.
What we said,
baby
stepping
steps.
stones. Yeah.
It's building blocks, okay? Baby steps. It doesn't mean you're not going to have the house that you want. It doesn't mean that you won't have that 4-bed or 5-bed in the future with 3,000 square feet on a 10,000 square foot lot. It takes steps to get there sometimes, right? You have to get to your foundation before you can get there.
Awesome, Victor. And with that, man, let's wrap it up because you know what, guys? You started this podcast not wanting to buy a home, or let me rephrase that. You started listening to this podcast and we told you why you will never buy a home. And hopefully now at the end of this podcast, we told you the reasons of why you will buy a home. And with that, thank you for joining the Most Valuable Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on all platforms where you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube if you want to see our pretty smiles. Thank you again for joining us. And with that, we look forward
to winning with you.